The sun rose slowly over the golden plains of Central Africa, casting long shadows across the dusty road that led to the remote village of Nsioma. Henry, a doctor recently widowed, sat behind the wheel of an aging Land Rover, glancing occasionally at his teenage daughter Amara seated beside him. Her earphones were in, her gaze distant as the landscape rode by. They were both trying to escape, Henry from the crushing grief of losing his wife, and Amara from the silence that had crept into their home since her mother's death. This trip to Nsioma, her mother's ancestral village, was meant to be a journey of healing. "We are almost there," Henry said softly. Amara didn't reply. As they turned off the main road, the car began to jolt along a narrow path lined with acacia trees and the occasional herd of cattle. Villagers carrying baskets on their heads paused to wave. The village lay nestled in the curve of a dry riverbed, surrounded by rocky hills and thick brush. The chief's house was the largest structure, circular, with a thatched roof and wooden carvings depicting old stories. A group of children chased each other nearby, their laughter echoing through the air. But the villagers' faces, though polite, held something behind their smiles. Weariness. Chief Oduma greeted them warmly. "You are welcome, Henry. And you, Amara. Your wife's spirit is at peace seeing you here." Henry bowed slightly. "Thank you, Chief. We just need time to rest." He didn't say the other part aloud, that they were barely holding themselves together. Amara wandered off, exploring the village slowly. Women pounded yam under the shade of baobab trees. An old man carved masks while humming a sorrowful tune. She passed a small shrine draped in red cloth and covered in feathers and bones. Something about it sent a chill through her. That night, over a dinner of yam porridge and snails, the chief's expression grew grave. "There is something I must tell you," he said. "There have been attacks. Animals, we think. But not normal. Not since the poachers came and killed the pride on the other side of the hills." "Attacks?" Henry frowned. "What kind?" "The kind that leaves nobody whole. Livestock, sometimes even people. We found a hunter last week, his chest torn open like cloth." Amara's fork froze midair. Henry glanced at her, then back at the chief. "A rogue lion." The chief nodded slowly. "A survivor. A lion that saw its family butchered. Some say it hunts not just with hunger, but with vengeance." The fire crackled. Outside, in the distance, a low rumble roared across the plains. A roar. The next morning, the village was quieter than usual. A thin mist clung to the grass as Henry and Amara joined a group of locals preparing to hike toward the river. Henry wanted to collect medicinal plants that his late wife had once studied in this region, while Amara just needed to get away from the weight in her chest. They were accompanied by Musa, a young tracker with keen eyes and a quiet demeanor. His father had been a ranger before the poachers raided the nearby preserve. Now, Musa walked the land with the instincts of a ghost. They moved past shrines hidden in the thickets, across dry creek beds, and through a scattering of termite mounds. Birds fluttered above. But as they walked deeper into the savannah, the signs changed. Henry paused near a broken tree limb. "Is that blood?" Musa knelt, touching the dark stain on the grass. "Fresh," he said. Suddenly, Amara stopped. Her breath caught in her throat. In the distance, half concealed by the tall grass, stood a lion. Its mane was patchy, its ribs visible beneath its dusty coat. But its eyes burned with something far deeper than hunger. Hatred. And pain. It didn't growl. It didn't charge. It just watched. Musa raised his hand slowly. "Do not move," he whispered. "Do not speak." They stood frozen for what felt like an eternity. Then the lion turned and vanished into the grass. Back in the village, news of the sighting spread quickly. Women gathered their children. Doors were barred. That evening, Amara couldn't sleep. She kept thinking of the lion's eyes. Not wild, but human. As though it knew something. She got up and walked outside, the air cool against her skin. The moon was high. Shadows moved in the distance. She turned to go back inside. And saw it. The lion stood at the edge of the village. Silent. Unblinking. Almost like a spirit. Then, just as silently, it disappeared. Amara screamed. Amara's scream ripped through the still night like a blade. Doors flung open, villagers poured out with torches and machetes. Henry rushed to her, heart pounding, grabbing her by the shoulders. "What is it? What happened?" "The lion," she gasped, pointing to the edge of the village. "It was there, just standing. Watching me." Chief Oduma emerged from his hut. "Where exactly?" he asked, scanning the dark horizon. "There," Amara said, trembling. "It didn't attack, it just stared at me. Like it was waiting." A hush fell over the group. Musa stepped forward with a grim look. "It's getting bolder." Henry pulled Amara into an embrace. "This has gone far enough. We need to leave, now." Chief Oduma raised a hand. "Leaving won't help. The lion isn't just a beast, it is tied to this land. If it has marked you, it will follow." Henry looked at the chief, confused. "What are you talking about?" The chief sighed and motioned for everyone to gather in the communal hut. The elders lit a fire at the center, and shadows danced along the mud walls. Children were sent away. Only those who needed to know remained. "There is a story," the chief began, his voice low. "One many have forgotten. Long ago, before the poachers came, there was a great lion, a protector of the land. It lived in harmony with the people. Some say it was a spirit in a lion's skin." Amara sat silently, eyes wide. "But then," the chief continued, "outsiders came. They brought greed and guns. They killed its pride, its mate, its cubs, slaughtered for sport and money. The beast didn't die that day, but something in it did." An elder added in a whisper, "It was seen after, standing over their bodies. It let out a roar so terrible the earth trembled. Then it disappeared into the forest. And one by one, those who had taken from it began to vanish." "Are you saying this is the same lion?" Henry asked. Chief Oduma nodded. "I believe so. Only now, its pain has turned it into something else. It no longer just lives, it hunts. Not every lion that kills is seeking food. Some are seeking justice." Musa stood. "It's tracking something. I saw the way it looked at us today, it chose to let us go." Henry rubbed his face. "Why come back now? Why us?" Amara hesitated. "It looked right at me." The elders exchanged glances. "There's more," the chief said. "Your wife, Henry, did she ever tell you of the pact her ancestors made with the land?" Henry blinked. "No. She never spoke much about her past. She was a descendant of the forest guardians," the chief explained. The ones who used to commune with the animals and keep balance between man and nature. If her blood flows in your daughter, the lion may not be hunting her. It may be calling her. The fire cracked. Amara shivered. What does it want from me? The chief looked grave. That is what we must find out. Before it decides to take more. Outside, the wind picked up. Somewhere beyond the hills, a distant roar roared across the plains, low, mournful, and full of grief. The lion was not done yet. Morning in Sioma broke with an unnatural stillness. The usual chorus of birds was muted. Even the goats bleated softly, as if sensing something wrong. Henry rose early, his mind still caught in the stories from the night before. Amara, though restless, had finally fallen asleep curled beneath the mosquito net, her brow furrowed with worry. Henry stepped outside and spotted Musa crouched near the outer fence, studying something in the dust. He approached silently. Musa. The young tracker looked up, his eyes grim. Footprints. Human. But alongside them, lion prints. Very fresh. They circled the village in the night. Henry stiffened. Why not attack? Musa shook his head. It's watching. Waiting. Back inside the chief's compound, a council meeting was called. The elders gathered, speaking in hushed tones. Some argued that the villagers should leave until the beast was hunted down. Others insisted it was a spiritual matter, that disturbing the balance further would only bring worse suffering. Chief Oduma finally rose. We must seek counsel from the old ways. The lion is no longer just an animal. It carries grief, and grief becomes rage when left unanswered. Amara entered the circle, looking pale but resolute. If this lion is calling to me, then I want to understand why. The room fell silent. Henry stood. No. That's too dangerous. Amara looked down at her hands. It came to me, Dad. In my dream last night. Henry's eyes widened. You dreamed of it? She nodded. It stood in the ruins of a burned forest, surrounded by bones. It looked at me like it knew me. Then it turned and walked away, but not before whispering my name. She looked up, her voice steady. I have to follow it. The chief raised a hand. Sometimes the young are chosen when the old have failed. He turned to Musa. You will guide her to the shrine, the spirit of remembrance. It lies beyond the black thorn forest. If answers are to be found, it will be there. Henry looked from the chief to his daughter. I'm coming too. They prepared quickly. Musa armed himself with a spear and a pouch of powdered ash blessed by the village seer. The herbalist gave Amara a bracelet of woven bark and charms. To remind the forest you are not its enemy, she said. Chief Odume gave Henry a leather satchel. Inside is your wife's journal. She recorded many things she never shared. It may help you understand why the lion seeks your daughter. Then the trio set off, Henry, Amara, and Musa, into the heart of the wilderness. The deeper they went, the quieter the world became. Trees stood like sentinels, their branches draped in vines like funeral veils. Strange markings lined the trunks, claw marks too deliberate to be natural. After hours of trekking, they came upon a ravine. Beneath them, at the base of the gorge, were the ruins of a poacher's camp. Bullet casings littered the ground. Rusted cages stood twisted, their doors flung open. Amara stared, her heart heavy. This is where it happened, Musa whispered. Where they slaughtered the pride. Amara moved among the wreckage and knelt beside a pile of bones. She picked up a broken tooth the size of her palm. A lion's. Henry stood beside her. Why bring us here? Musa looked around. To remember. To bear witness. Then, a rustle. They turned, eyes wide. The lion stood at the edge of the clearing. It was closer than it had ever been. Its mane now fully grown, but scorched in places. Scars streaked across its flank like battle medals. Its eyes held pain, but something else, too. Recognition. It looked at Amara and took a single step forward. Musa raised his spear. No! Amara cried. She stepped between them, her hands raised. The lion paused. Then, slowly, it knelt, its head bowed low to the earth. Amara's breath caught. It's not a monster, she whispered. It's mourning. She moved closer, her fingers trembling. And though her father called out behind her, though Musa held his breath, she reached forward and placed her hand on the lion's head. A pulse of energy surged through her, a torrent of memories not her own, the roar of gunfire, the scent of blood, the cries of cubs. Then, a woman. Her mother. Standing before the lion, her arms wide, whispering words of peace. A promise. A pact. That pact had passed to Amara. The lion opened its eyes, and for a moment, they glistened with tears. Then a sound shattered the silence. A gunshot. The lion roared in agony as a dart struck its side. From the trees, men in uniforms emerged, rangers, called by the chief, acting on fear. No! Amara screamed. You don't understand, he's not the enemy. But it was too late. The lion staggered, then fled into the forest, vanishing into shadow. Henry held Amara tightly as she wept. Musa stood silently, watching the trees close once again. The bond is not broken, he said. But now, it is wounded. The forest had never felt more alive, or more watchful. Henry, Amara, and Musa walked in tense silence as they traced the lion's trail deeper into the wilderness. Every now and then, Amara would touch the back bracelet the herbalist had given her, feeling its texture like a tether to something ancient. Where are we going? She asked. To where it all began, Musa said, pointing toward the foothills of the Njoko Mountains. There's a place few dare enter. The land remembers what happened there. As they climbed higher, the air thickened, not just with humidity but with something older, something spiritual. Trees grew closer together, their branches clawing the sky like warning fingers. The light dimmed, and the chirps of birds faded until all that was left was wind and breath. At last, they reached a rocky plateau. In the center stood a single tree, blackened, hollow, but still upright. Amara felt a pull toward it. Her mother's voice, half remembered, echoed in her ears. We are not separate from the land, Amara. We are part of its memory. She stepped forward and placed her hand on the tree's charred trunk. The world shifted. In a blink, the sky darkened, and a vision unfolded around her like a dream. She stood in the same place, but it was years ago. Her mother, alive, radiant, wearing the traditional garb of the forest guardians, stood in a circle of villagers. Before them, the lion, unscarred and majestic, stood tall, surrounded by its pride. We vow to protect you, her mother said. And you, in turn, will protect us. In blood, we are bound. In grief, we must never turn to rage. Then, gunshots. Screams. Fire. The poachers stormed in, shattering the balance. Lions fell. Her mother cried out. The vision blurred. And then, nothing but silence. Amara staggered back into the present. Henry caught her. Amara. I saw it, she said breathlessly. The pact. Mom was part of it. Musa nodded solemnly. It was real. And it was broken. A roar exploded from the forest below, so close it shook the stones beneath their feet. The lion was coming. It emerged not with fury, but with sorrow. Its eyes locked with Amara's once more, and this time, she didn't feel fear. She stepped forward. You remember her, don't you? My mother. The lion's chest rumbled, not a growl, but something like agreement. Amara unfastened the back bracelet and held it out. She didn't break the promise. The poachers did. Let me help you remember. The lion approached slowly. Henry tensed, reaching for his satchel, but Musa held up a hand. Wait. Let it choose. The lion lowered its head, and Amara placed the bracelet on its mane. For a moment, the world held its breath. Then, a warm breeze stirred the air. The trees swayed. The silence shifted, not lifted, but softened. But peace would not come so easily. A rustling came from the trees behind them. Then a voice, target in sight. A red laser dot landed on the lion's chest. No! Henry roared, spinning around. Rangers, flanked by a government hunter with tranquilizers and rifles, burst into the clearing. We tracked your signal, the hunter barked at Musa. We are here to end this. Amara stood between them and the lion, arms outstretched. You don't understand, she cried. This lion is the guardian of this land. To hell with that, the hunter snapped. It's killed too many. Henry stepped beside Amara. You shoot, you destroy something far bigger than you know. The hunter hesitated, but only for a second. Then the lion roared. Not in rage, but in defiance. And vanished, leaping into the trees, impossibly fast. Chaos erupted. Musa pulled Amara and Henry behind a rock as bullets flew, but the lion didn't launch a direct attack. It circled, luring the rangers into the forest one by one, isolating and killing them. By nightfall, only silence remained. Amara stood at the edge of the clearing, heart pounding. Somewhere out there, the lion was watching. Waiting. We have to finish what Mom started, she said. Henry nodded. Then we'll do it. Together. Musa looked toward the forest. The lion gave you a second chance. Don't waste it. The wind stirred the tree branches again, as though carrying the echoes of an old pact, one not broken, but bent under the weight of grief. Deep in the forest, they walked past ancient trees whose roots burst from the ground like twisted veins, through thickets of reeds, and over streams that shimmered with strange reflections. Amara walked ahead, drawn by something deeper than instinct. At last, they arrived at a cavern half swallowed by the earth. Vines hung like curtains across the entrance. Musa hesitated. This place, he whispered, was once sacred. Before it was abandoned. Henry looked to Amara, and she nodded. We go in. The air inside was cool and heavy. Their footsteps echoed through the chamber as they descended into the earth. Strange carvings adorned the walls, lions, people, and figures cloaked in firelight, arms raised to the sky. They reached a central chamber lit by slivers of sun breaking through the cracks above. And there, in the center of it all, lay the lion. Its breath was labored. Blood soaked its side from a wound. It raised its head slowly to meet Amara's eyes. Not rage. Recognition. Amara stepped forward, unafraid. She knelt beside it, tears brimming in her eyes. "I see you now," she said. "You're not just a lion. You were once something more." A flicker of movement from behind, a figure stepped from the shadows. An old woman cloaked in red, her face etched with the lines of age and wisdom. "You have come far, Amara," she said. "Just like your mother once did." "Who are you?" Henry asked, stepping between them. The woman bowed her head. "I am Nyori, guardian of the old blood. I've waited for this moment, for her to return." "Ah?" Amara asked. "You are your mother's daughter. And the lion, he was once her protector." Henry froze. "What?" Nyori continued, "The pact between lion and guardian was not just spiritual, it was real. Long ago, when your mother was chosen to inherit the mantle of the forest seer, she was bound to the lion spirit. Together, they kept balance. But when poachers came, they shattered the link. She was forced to seal the lion spirit inside its wounded body to stop it from losing itself to vengeance." Amara's voice trembled. "You're saying this lion is part of her?" Nyari nodded. "Not just part. It carries her sorrow. Her final act before death was to bind her soul to his, so his rage wouldn't consume the world." Henry staggered backward. The lion groaned, lifting its head toward Amara. Nyori stepped forward and placed a palm on Amara's chest. "Now the spirit calls for release. It shows you." Amara looked down at the lion, and for a moment, she saw her mother's eyes in its gaze. "I don't know how," she whispered. "You don't need to," Nyori replied. "Just listen." Amara knelt, pressing her hand to the lion's mane. She closed her eyes. A vision bloomed, of savannas untouched, of her mother laughing beneath the stars, of the lion racing through the tall grass, free. And then, flames, gunfire, silence. But in the center of that storm stood her mother, reaching for her. When Amara opened her eyes, the lion had stopped breathing. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "He's gone." Nyori shook her head. "No. He's finally at peace." Suddenly, a rumble shook the cave. Cracks formed along the chamber walls. Roots twisted down like serpents. Musa stepped back. "What's happening?" Nyori smiled. "The bond has been fulfilled. The grief has been lifted." The carvings on the wall shimmered, coming to life. The lion and guardian, together again, melted into the earth. Outside, the forest changed. The clouds broke. Birds sang. Back in Sioma, the villagers emerged from their huts, blinking in the golden light. The fear that had clung to the land like a curse had lifted. That night, by the fire, Amara sat beside her father, silent for a long time. "Do you feel her?" he asked. Amara nodded. "She's not gone." "Not really." Henry placed an arm around her shoulders. "Neither is the lion." And far beyond the hills, in the wind that danced through the trees, came a final roar, soft, mournful, and free. Years passed. The village of Nsioma slowly returned to its rhythm. Children's laughter once again echoed through the baobab trees, and the fear that once clung to the wind faded into memory. But in the hearts of those who had witnessed the truth, a quiet reverence remained. Amara stayed. She didn't return to the city with her father. Instead, she chose to walk the path her mother once walked. Under the guidance of Nyori and the village elders, she studied the ancient ways, how to listen to the wind, how to speak to the fire, and most importantly, how to remember. Some said they saw her wandering the hills at dawn, whispering to the trees. Others claimed a great lion still roamed the outer edges of the land, not as a beast, but as a guardian. It never attacked. It only watched. It only protected. One day, as the first rains of the season fell, Amara stood at the edge of the forest, her hands painted in white ash, her eyes closed. She felt the ground pulse beneath her feet. A low growl echoed from the shadows, not threatening, but familiar. She opened her eyes. There was nothing there. And yet, she smiled. Because she knew. Some grief does not vanish, it transforms. Into memory. Into warning. Into love that lingers just long enough to become legend. And so, in the quiet corners of the land, where the wind carries old songs and the trees remember footsteps, the tale of the lion and the girl is still told. Not as a tragedy, but as a promise.